Hi, welcome back to Box Delights. Welcome to this demonstration of Under Falling Skies from Czech Games Edition. Under Falling Skies is a solo game. It's a solo dice game. It's kind of like Space Invaders, the board game. We roll initially a set of 5 dice, and we place these dice in spots to take actions in our base. Our base is defending a different city, it's like an underground base, from the attack of alien spaceships. What's interesting about this game is you've got a set of foundation rules to play the basic game, but the designers have recognized that those basic rules kind of get a little bit repetitive if you play them over and over again. So they've introduced a series of scenarios. This is chapter 1 here. In the box, there's a mass, it's all blurred out, so you can't see what's coming, no spoilers here. But this is the setup for chapter 1, so the first thing you'll see is what I've got. And as you play through this campaign, this series of chapters, it'll unlock different characters, different abilities, different scenarios, different tweaks to the rules, lots of variability. And then as you play your individual games, you can use components that you've unlocked in your individual games. So I'm going to do that for you now. I'm just going to play a basic game. I'm going to throw in a little bit of chapter 1. Now, although it's a small footprint game, this is it. This is all you need. You don't need this stuff. That's just set up there to show you bits of the campaign. It's actually quite tall, so it does take up a little bit of space top to bottom on your table, so you might want to lay it sideways and so on. But at the top here is the mothership, and the mothership is going to send little drop ships, these alien spaceships, to attack your town, which is initially, in the introduction, Roswell. But we can switch these out. So we've got Roswell, we've got New York, Washington, D.C., and then chapter 1 adds some more cities. We've got Mexico and Montreal here, for example. So I'm going to play New York City. And then each city asks for different tiles in your base. This is all modular, okay? The skies above your city are always these 4 tiles. They go kind of from light blue to dark blue, but they do have a flip side. We'll talk about that in a second. So aliens are going to descend from the mothership. They're going to descend and try and do damage to your city. And New York has a base tile C followed by tile A. This was Roswell. This had base tile A above base tile B. Okay, so we need base tile C. Here's C, here's D, followed by base tile A. Now A is not pointing up, it's pointing down. So if you flip it over, you then get kind of the other side, a reverse side to base A. Okay, so there's lots of variability in here with the bases, and each one of these spots is an action, type of action you can take, and obviously we'll get into that as we go into gameplay. Each action you can take, and each base offers different actions. All right, so we go C above A for New York, and New York also has a special ability. Each city might bring different changes to the rules. Okay, and what's good about this is when you play through the campaign, if you lose a game in the campaign, this tile flips to its easier side, and then the city is burning, we lost to the aliens, but the ability comes a little bit stronger, or perhaps the first step on the progress track is a little bit different. If you look on the back of here, it's got half a gold star. This adds half a level of easiness, if you like. It makes the game half a star easier. These other tiles, if you flip these over, this has a black star. This makes the game a whole 1 star more difficult. So you could say, if you wanted to gauge how difficult is this game going to be, it's 1 more difficult minus half a star easiness, right? So half a star more difficult, all right? And all this stuff can all be tailored in. So if I wanted to add this character, Jackson Moss, for example, who has a special ability on this side it has half a star. So I might say, right, I'm adding a star of difficulty and then half a star easy, half a star here, easy, back to 0, back to level playing field, right? On the reverse side of Jackson Moss is a full 1 star easy, so an even more powerful ability. So lots of variability as you unlock new characters, new scenarios, new cities. You can unlock these stars of adding difficulty or adding easiness, okay, that you can then balance out in your regular games and kind of knock yourself out, make it as easy as difficult as you want by adding in these extra bits. All right, that's the way the campaign works and how your standalone games work. All right, let's get set up for play and we'll show you how this thing works. Like I say, the board is quite long, so I've set it up at a little angle for you, but as we get playing, we're going to focus in on different sections of the board. So all these sections are modular. Okay, I've got everything set to the easy side for now. As the mothership progresses down towards our city, if the mothership reaches this red skull, we lose the game. Okay, that's our city then invaded by the mothership. As the mothership progresses down, she hits one of these little icons, and each one of these icons will make something bad happen. Okay, our aim is to progress up this track. If we reach the top, then we're victorious. Okay, so mothership reaches the bottom, we lose. We reach the top, we win. We progress up this track by using these green rooms in our base. These are called research actions. All right, we'll see this in actions shortly. There's another way to lose the game, and that's if our city takes too much damage from these drop ships that come down and attack. Okay, these are going to progress down this track like Space Invaders all the way down, and if they hit the bottom, they're going to hit and damage our city. And we have a tracker here to record the amount of damage being done to our city. If this tracker reaches the skull, then we lose the game. There's another tracker here. This one's called energy. Some of these actions that we take will cost us energy, and we won't be able to take those actions unless we have enough energy. Okay, so there's a tracker here to record energy. Right, let's rejig and set up the base. We start with, and there's a little halo around the number 2 here, we start with 2 energy. Our base starts with no damage. Okay, there's a little halo around this one, so we use this red tracker to record the damage on our base. If this progresses down here, we lose. Okay. There's another halo around this section here. This is where our research starts, right at the bottom. Remember, our job is to get this research tracker all the way to the top using these actions. This action here, for example, costs 2 energy. This one costs 1 energy. This one costs 1. These actions are free. They don't cost any energy at all. There's one final halo on our base and one final piece. This is called the excavator. The excavator starts here. Now this is clever. All good games have progression, right? They evolve as the game develops. At the beginning of the game, what you'll notice is that these squares, these action points on our base, they kind of follow this little tunnel. Okay. We can only take actions which are above our excavator. One of the actions we can take in the game is to move our excavator down the tunnel. So as with the game progresses, we are unlocking new actions. Cool. That's where the excavator starts. So we'll learn how to do that excavating as we play. Now this level, New York, it's not Roswell, so it's a little bit advanced. There's this room here, which is the manufacture of robots. That's not available when you start with Roswell. So I just want to push things on a little bit in terms of difficulty and show you how the robot works. These red ones are jet fighter rooms. If you trigger this action, you send your jet fighters out to destroy these drop ships that are attacking the city. These are energy rooms. They generate energy. The green ones are research rooms that push us up this track. There's also these grey ones. These are AA guns. They don't do anything in themselves, but they do affect the dice that we place. Okay, right, we'll come to this in a second. We've got 5 dice. Every round we're going to roll our dice, we're going to place our dice in our rooms, then we're going to activate those dice. The dice will activate the rooms, which means the actions that those rooms generate. Then the mothership is going to advance, trigger her action, and then we start a new round. And we're going to continue this way until we either win or we lose. All right? Cool. Now, the drop ships, they start on the mothership. There's 5 of them, and they start here in each of these little ghosted enemy ships. These are called drop points. Okay. As we play, we've got these white ships as well. When mothership hits this white spot here on this track, she's going to add new enemy ships. Right, so mothership starts up here, the top of the track, and we'll learn about how these enemy ships progress, how we place our dice, take our actions. Let's do that. So we've got 5 dice. Forget that blue one for the minute. We've got 5 dice. I'm going to roll these. Notice they're different colours. I'll talk about that as we get going. In the first phase, we're placing dice. There's 5 dice and there's 5 columns. We've got to place 1 dice in each of the 5 columns. Each column can only contain 1 die. And remember, we can only place them to take actions above the excavator. Let's start by learning how to move this excavator then. So I'm going to use a 4, I think. Now remember, I said you can only take the actions of the rooms that are behind the excavator or above the excavator. To move the excavator forward, you have to place a die in front of the excavator. It doesn't activate the room. Instead, it will cause the excavator to move forward. Now I've got 2 choices. I've got 2 4s here. So I could use this grey one or I could use this white one. What the white dice say is when you place a white die, re-roll all the remaining dice. Now as it goes, I also want to use a 6. So I don't want to use the white one just yet because I want to use one of those 6s. So I'm going to use this grey 4. The grey 4, or the grey dice, say when you use them, don't re-roll, just continue to place the dice that you've previously rolled. Right, so there's 2 white dice, so you've got 2 re-rolls, if you like, within your turn. Now with that 4, I can place it in one of these spots in front of the excavator, anywhere down this track, but only 1 die can be placed in front of the excavator, so the remaining 4 must be placed behind it. And also, when you place the die, count the number of spaces back to the excavator. So in this case, it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. This die must be equal to or higher than that number. So that's too far forward, right? I could place it here, 1, 2, 3, 4. That's good. This is 4 or more. Or indeed, I can place it in any one of these spaces. Okay, so if I placed it here, that would move the excavator forward. 1, 2. 2 is less than or equal to my die. I want to move it as far as I can forward. I want to open up these green spaces because I want to start doing some research. Now you place your die, you don't action it yet. Right, so in this phase, all we're going to do is place our dice. Once we've finished placing our dice, then we'll start resolving their effects. Now here's the tricky bit. Every time you place a die in that column, remember you can only place 1 die per column, so I can't place here or here now, because I've already got a die in that column. Every time you place a die in a column, the enemy ship in that column moves forward that number of spaces. So this enemy ship is going to move forward 4 spaces. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4. It's going to move to that space. Now down this track, there's icons. And when it hits one of those icons, something might happen. Something might not. So for example, this right pointing arrow here says if it hits that, it moves 1 spot to the right. If it hits this pink one, it moves 1 spot to the left. If it hits this spot here, this is one you can kind of use to your advantage if you wish. It moves the mothership down 1 spot. Okay, so it advances. You're going to lose a whole turn, but this can be clever because remember I told you at the end of the round the mothership's going to move forward and carry out that icon. When you force the mothership forward using one of these icons here, it doesn't execute this. All right? And then these spots here, these explosions, they're spots where you can attack the enemy ship. We'll look at that as we come to it. But At the moment, this enemy ship's safe. I can't target it, I can't hit it, I can't destroy it. Only if it hits one of these explosions can I destroy that enemy ship. So really clever play, really clever design. Not only placing dice, but where you place them to get their actions is significant to how these enemy moves. It's really neat. So you're looking at two things. When you play this game, you're thinking, right, what actions do I need? Where's that going to move the enemy ship? What's it going to do to these drop ships? And obviously, the higher the number, the quicker these things move down the map. And remember, when they hit the bottom, they're going to damage our ship and push us closer. Sorry, not our ship, our base. They're going to damage our base and push us closer to defeat. All right, now remember, I want to open up these green spots. At the moment, I can't take any research actions, so I can't push this up. But I do have Samantha Legrand, so I've decided to take one of these helpers. She says, advance one space on the research track as long as its value is 3 or less. This is kind of a free-to-use ability. So a little bonus that'll help us. Right, so I've placed a die. It's not white, it's grey, so I don't re-roll. Now I continue placing dice and moving those ships. The jet fighter spot, I'm not going to be able to use. Possibly I want to generate some energy. Now this room here is a double room, which means it does nothing. If I place a die here and then I place a die here, I've not filled this room. And an unfilled room does nothing. Okay, I need to have 2 dice in here for this room to activate. So I need to think about that. So as it goes, I might place a 3 in here. That's going to give me 3 energy. And it's also going to move this ship. Remember, it's in that column down 3 spaces. Then I'm going to place this. It's a grey one. I don't re-roll. I'm going to place this 6. I'm going to place it in this blue room. Remember, dice don't do anything at this point. I'm just placing them and then moving the drop ships. Right, so that moves this enemy 6 spaces. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It's ended up on a blank square, so it does nothing. Now I've placed a white one. I have to re-roll what's remaining. And I'm hoping for some low numbers. I don't want these ships moving too far. A 1 would be good. And something like a 3. Another 3 would be good. A 1 and a 3 would be perfect. Got a 4 and a 5. I could place the 5 and then re-roll, but where do I place it? If I place the 5, say here, that means I'd have to re-roll this one, and I might get something higher than what I want. Actually, 4 is perfect. I'm going to place this 4 here, which moves this guy down 4 spaces. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now this one would now move left, but it can't. It would bump into there, so it's just going to stay there. So I'm happy with that. And then this last die, this 5, I'm going to place here in this AA gun. Remember, I can't place it in front of the excavator. It has to be behind. I can't place it in any of these columns because they're already filled. So the only place it can go is here. Now these grey rooms do nothing. These AA guns have absolutely no effect at all. But remember, every time I place a die, it moves the enemy ship. Now what these grey spaces say is, instead of moving 5 spaces, there's a -1 here. Take 1 away from that. So the enemy's only going to move 4. Now imagine if we placed a 1 here. Now this is where 1s are good. If you place a 1 here, 1 minus 1 is 0. The enemy ships don't move. So these columns are really good for stalling the movement of those enemy ships down the board. Right, so I placed a 5, so that's going to become a 4. This guy's moving 4. And I've put him on an explosion space, which means next time, if I can get a 1 in here, it won't move. It'll be stuck on a 4 explosion space. I could potentially hit it with my jet fighters. Okay, that's it. We've placed. Now I've put a white. So normally you do a reroll, but there's no dice here left to reroll. Okay, so that's it. That's this phase over. I've rolled my dice. I've placed them all. I've moved the enemy ships. You see they're progressing down towards New York. Now the next phase is to then start resolving these dice. These ones do nothing, so we can just remove those from the board. These yellow ones give you energy. So in a double room, you add the dice together. Right, that would give me 7 energy. If I placed it, say, in this room here, say a 3 in there, that might give me 3 energy. It doesn't actually, there's a -1 on here. It actually only gives me 2 energy. So I could resolve this one now, that would give me 7 energy. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, but I can't go any higher than 8. Okay, so why don't I resolve some of these that cost energy first? Good plan. All right, let's resolve the excavator. Moving the excavator costs 1 energy. There's a reminder here, there's this lightning bolt here. This is going to cost 1 energy. All right, so we've got a 4 die in front. 1, 2, 3, 4. Good. We've resolved it and we've moved the excavator forward. Perfect. That's now opened up these actions. Notice these spots here, they still count when you're moving forward, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, for example, 5, 6. But they don't do anything. These are just empty tunnels. You can't place your dice there. Okay, so now I've spent an energy. Let's resolve these. That's 7 energy. Takes me up to the maximum 8. And then lastly, we want to resolve this die. Now this die is in a robot room. Robot rooms make robots. This is a 6-valued room, so it would make a 6-valued robot. This is where the blue dice comes in. Now as it goes, there's a little -1 modifier down here, and it says it doesn't create a 6-valued room, you take 1 away. So I placed a 6 die here, that would create only a 5-valued robot, and it costs 1 energy. It takes me down to 7. Right, so spending that die creates a 5-valued robot. Now I can place this robot anywhere in my excavated rooms. What that means is in future, that room's going to do its thing. When I'm resolving dice, this robot will resolve, just like one of these dice, but it doesn't use up one of my 5 dice. Brilliant, huh? Now I do have a limitation. There's 2 of these blue dice that comes with the game, but New York says you can only have 1 robot, but the value of its room is raised by 1. Okay, so a 5-valued robot will actually give it a room value of 6. So what that means is on subsequent turns, this thing will start doing work for me. And where do I want to place it? I'm thinking I want to place it here. Newly installed robots are exhausted, so they're not doing anything on the turn you install them. Okay. The other good thing about robots is they don't cause ships to move. You know, when I'm placing these dice in the dice phase, this robot won't cause dice to move. Now I can't place my other dice here. Okay, that room's already filled, but I can place my other dice in the same column as a robot. Okay, so now effectively I've got 6 dice to place next time. All right, that's it. I've used all my dice. The robots will become clearer when we do our next turn. Hopefully you'll see them working. All right, final phase of the round. We move the mothership, so she's going to come down 1 spot. If we had destroyed any of these red ships, they would have gone back and then gone to these drop points and then would be respawning as it goes. What she's going to do is, that icon means we place one of these white ships on the mothership, and that will spawn. So the last thing you do is spawn your ships. Okay, move the mothership down and then spawn any ships that are here. So red ones that were destroyed, white ones that have just come about. White ones, once they get destroyed, they disappear. All right, red ones, when they get destroyed, they go back to the mothership. So there's always 5 enemy ships out and about here. Right, where does that white one spawn? If there were any empty lanes, they'd fill an empty lane. Okay, so a red one would come down here like so. Red ones are always going to fill empty lanes first. But with no empty lanes, it'll instead fill the lane where the enemy ship is furthest away, which is this one here. Okay. So that one's got the closest. If they were equal closest, then it's just your choice. Right, so white ship is going to spawn here on this drop point. Remember, it doesn't move until you place a die in this column, which of course we're going to do. And then both of these ships will move. All right, so if we placed a 1 in here, they both move down 1. So when we roll, so that's it, we've completed the first round. When we roll for next time, I'm going to hopefully get a 1, and if I can pop a 1 in there, then actually a 2 would be good. I'd quite like a 2. Then that would be a 1. This will move down into a spot where I can shoot it. This would only move here. Or even better, maybe a 3. So a 3 will get reduced by my A guns to a 2, which means everything's going to move 2, which would force the mothership to move past this spot here. I hate these icons. This icon here, at the end of round 2, it's going to move the excavator back 2 spaces. And we really don't want that to happen, because if the excavator moves back 2 spaces, we've lost our research rooms. And we've lost our robot. So I'm hoping for a 3. I mean, I could do it another way. There are other spots where this mothership icon is on the track. So there we go. Let's roll. Okay, so we've got plenty of choices. Excellent. All right, join me next time then as we continue with round 3. And actually, in part 2 of this video pair, we'll finish out the rest of the game.